Well, welcome back to this episode of Did She Really Say That? And you're going to you're going to hear this a lot in your head as we have this conversation today with Jennifer, because I love what she teaches around the soulful language and just everything who she is, right? And this is going to be the soul language you wish you had known earlier. And you, like me, you know how much I'm passionate around finding your purpose, aligning your purpose, and bringing it all centered into a productivity tool, which is why I love the Create Her Planner that we've created for women, because what Jennifer talks about is in alignment with this, right? How do you track your soul energy if you have no idea and there's no tools out there to do it? So I brought Jen on because you need to hear this. And I will tell you, I've already taken the quiz. We're going to talk about that also because that is her giveaway at the end of this episode. So, who is Jennifer? She is a soul whisperer, and it's true. She is a no BS incinerator. She is a divine code breaker who moonlights as an intuitive strategist, but secretly operates as an interdimensional translator for your soul's deepest truth. Deep breath right there. Just absorb that in, right? She didn't just find or found soul language. She channeled an entire spiritual dialect from the paramortal soup of the divine and turned it into a system that makes your therapist weep and your higher self applaud. She's the one who the angels call when they need a communication upgrade. So, yes, imagine if Carl Jung and Joan of Arc had a love child raised by oracle whales, I love this, and trained in intuitive jitsu by the cosmic monks. That, that's Jennifer, okay? She doesn't do it gentle nudges. It's not her thing. I can tell you that straight up. She throws spiritual lightning bolts wrapped in velvet, right? She'll read your energetic mail, highlight the parts that you've been avoiding. Ladies, we've been avoiding a lot. And hands you a blueprint to sovereignty with the side of get over yourself right now. Bam, right? She can decode your divine operating system in less time than it takes your ego to panic. Her clients don't just transform, ladies. They quantum leap into unapologetic alignment, dropping their karmic baggage at the curb and finally stop asking the universe for permission. And that is who she is. She's here to wake you the fuck up, to be honest. And I love this conversation.
I love that you use the F bomb. I love it.
Well, yeah, come on. Like, you're talking soul alignment. Jennifer, if anybody, I know your soul alignment is being, who you are, whatever pops out of
Yeah.
your mouth. If it's a swear word, great. If it's a word
Yeah.
that you're offended by, great. Because in some respects, soul language is about triggering yourself.
Yeah.
So,
It's about coming back home to who you
yes.
are and letting go of all of the things you've been told or the experiences that you have. And I love to throw around the F bombs. I mean, I have a free guide called That's Not Your Fucking Purpose. Like I get it. Like there's so many myths around who we are or who we're told that we are that people can either use it as a crutch or start to kind of really decode who they are by listening to themselves internally rather than having all the external
Yeah.
metaphysical mumbo jumbo.
And I feel like that's a lot of what we're dealing with. And I'm not bashing anything that's out there, but there's so much junk around self development, personality assessments, this and that. There is the who you are, like, there's the human design and all, like, I feel like it's
Did you see my
all,
eye roll?
no, yeah, I saw your eye roll, right? And all this stuff, it's like they're trying to still put you in a box
Yeah.
and you're letting them say that this is defining who you are. When I truly believe in reality, Jen, that it might be a moment of who you were,
Yeah.
but you don't stay there. And people think they
No.
stay there. Like,
Oh my
come
God, no.
on.
And what I
Let's have an
love
honest cop about that.
I know. What I love about soul languages is the definitions are 1 or 2 pages. It's a
Not 27.
springboard. No. And you once you had your soul language identified, you don't need someone to tell you what house your Leo is or what node or how many. I mean, listen, I've had my human design done a bunch of times. And I'm like, what? why is it so confusing? And why do I need a translator? And blah, blah. And listen, if it works for you, great. But
Yeah.
what I notice is that then people don't go inward for the answer, right? And that becomes a very dangerous slope because you're handing over your power, your essential nature, how you choose to make decisions, your gifts to something or someone else. And that doesn't create what you want to create. It creates stagnation and pain and suffering and all those things that keep us in that kind of trying to make a round box square and a square box round.
Yeah. And it's so sad because I think so many high achieving women, they get stuck in that too.
Yeah.
They see that and they're like, ah, this is exactly who I am. I'm like, yeah, but you're evolving. That you can't stay there.
No.
You're not that design all the time. And they try to say, well, it's from the moment you're born on this cosmic earth and everything else. I said, and that is why you're here, is to evolve from what you came down as and who you are as a being. That's not the ultimate end
Yeah.
game.
And that's also why I love soul language, because it's a living, breathing paradigm. Like the definitions have evolved. For
Yes.
example, there's a how, so the categories are mission, how you'll be known here, and then your soulful personality. So there's a how you'll be known here. It's called the axiom of translation, called hero. And a couple years ago, one of the practitioners came to me and go, I think that this should be hero and heroine. And I went, oh
Mm,
my God. Yeah, we've evolved. We're coming more into that balance of sacred feminine, sacred masculine. So
masculine.
yes, so I updated the definitions, and then I got to send that out to all the heroes and explain why the definition was evolved. And their comments were like, yeah, totally, I get that. Like they could feel it in their
Yeah.
bones, right? And that's what you need. You need systems that are going to be a resource or tool
Yeah.
to help
So,
you put into evolution. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, you're finish the sentence. That's so true. It is to be into evolution. So, which leads to the question, why is being connected to your soul so important?
I think when we're disconnected, or
Mm,
and we're always connected, it's whether we feel connected or not. But when we feel disconnected, we make decisions based out of pain and programming.
mm,
We make decisions in what we think is the greatest good of all. We make a decision based on feeling not safe, feeling unheard, feeling unseen. And we've all seen the impact and the effects of that, right? And how that results not only in suffering in our individual lives, but extended out into the community, the world, right? So when
yeah.
we make a decision based on a knowing, a soul guidance, the truth with a big T, we're doing that in the greatest good of all, whether everyone realizes it or not. And your soul knows so much more than your little tiny brain could ever possibly know. And
Yes. And
right.
it's ever expanding. Your soul is ever
Yeah.
expanding.
Well, in reality, Katrina, the amount of soul that are in our bodies is like a shot glass, right?
Mm,
So when you let go of fear and programming, there's more soul that can come in and be
mm,
embodied. And the more you listen, right, the more you have this deep sense of knowing that you're safe, supported, and provided for. And listen,
yeah.
it's a practice. And sometimes I'm really great at it, and sometimes I suck, right? And it's
Ditto.
okay, right? It's okay, right? I my best friend's kid, he's 20 now, but he got into, it's a long story, but he got into a fight at a birthday party. I think he was like 6.
Mm,
And the kid kept needling him. And finally he just went, you want me to go all WWE on you? It was very cute. But he got in the car later and he's like, I could have done that better. And
mm,
I always took that to heart, right? Like, oh, could have done that better. That doesn't condone or excuse bad behavior, right?
right.
But the more consciousness we can be, the more consciousness we can put into everything, the better we are going to be, the better our lives are going to be, the better the planet's going to be. And we can
Yeah.
only do that by listening to something that isn't tethered to our peasly little experiences of pain and suffering. My dog
So
just
true.
dropped her bone down. the all 10 stairs. So if you guys heard,
Nothing.
okay, good.
Total silence on this side. It's
Okay.
so funny how awesome microphones are because if you
Yeah.
get the right one, it's like sound deafening on the other side. I love it.
So if you saw
So
me flinch, that was what was going.
you're like, oh,
Uh, uh,
yes. That moment of you're in conversation, all of a sudden you have a break. You're like,
yeah.
oh crap, back in thought again. So let's bring you back in. So for our audience that's listening to this and saying, okay, so what is soul language? What can it do for me? Let's answer that question for them.
So soul language puts some tangibility around soul, not to put you in a box or your essential nature, whatever you call that, but to give you words to what you know deep down
Mm,
inside, and to give you a sacred container to create a conscious connection between you and your soul. So, and we do identifications for the personal soul and the business soul either. Now, all those people that are going to call me and go, oh my God, can you identify my business soul? We have to identify the personal soul before we identify the business soul, because you're putting your own crap into the energy of your business. Is
what?
right. I know.
No fucking way. That's what
I
we're
know.
doing?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. But
Ah,
the
shit.
business energy is pure consciousness, and your your soul in this body
Got it.
is overlaid with pain and suffering. So when we identify three different categories. Your
Okay.
mission. Now, people get this all screwed up. They think their purpose or mission is about someone else. I
Isn't it
yesterday.
though? Isn't my mission about taking care of other people? That's my female intuition coming
Okay.
in.
I I I um I don't really get sarcasm, but I think you're being sarcastic.
I am.
Okay, good. But I was talking to this woman the other day. She's like, "Well, it's my mission to blah blah blah," and and I was like, "Yeah, no, it's not." And you could see like how she wanted to hit me, and I was like, "You're talking about delivery systems versus mission. What your
Mm.
mission here is it's profoundly here to experience, and then offer that experience to the overflow. So my mission language is called equalizer. It's all about creating that perfect formula balance, first for myself and then for others. So it's really interesting to watch me go into a restaurant, because if it was too crowded, it thins out. If it was too thin, it becomes crowd. Like, it's the perfect balance of people coming in. It's hysterical to watch.
Mm.
Um, the second category is about how you'll be known here, the fuel of your mission. And my language in that category is called teacher of integrity. So all of my life, I've been able to hear, see, understand where people are out of the consciousness of love for themselves. I offer them the chance to get back in, which means back into their manifestation power, back into balance, right? Harmony. The third category is about our soulful personality, and that's really about how our soul prefers to go through life. And we tend to judge how we prefer things, right? So my language in that category is called graceful warrior: action, movement, courage, and grace. If I'm making war with something, I'm creating suffering for myself. And
Mm.
I've made war with a lot of things, right? Now I get to ask, what am I championing versus what am I trying to make war with? And when someone has their personal or their business soul identified, I always give them a one liner based on their three languages. And
Mm.
that becomes their mild marker of consciousness. If they're not being and doing that, they're creating struggle. So my one liner is, I create balance for myself and others through love, integrity, and courage. And some days I do that really good, and sometimes I do that really bad, right? But now I know how I'm using my energy. Where am I putting my focus? How am I using my power? Right? Versus like playing a game of roulette where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, right? So it really allows somebody a powerful tool to connect to their soul and use that energy to achieve what they want to experience here.
And I love this too because I think so many times as women specifically, we do struggle with the language.
Yeah.
I know that as I continue to work with women, we're redefining, like you said, there's the hero and the heroine, there's the the goal and the intention. There's a yin and yang in language that we don't often experience. And so I love when you say this is your soul language because you're giving the words that I think sometimes feel out of reach. We're asking for them. We're going to chat GPT. We're going to the thesaurus. We're
Yeah.
going everywhere to find the language, and you've really brought all that together. You've done the work. tapped into the cosmos, you've really sat and listened and got the downloads so that they can, as we as human beings, when we work with you, get the sense that we are truly, I will say this, whether you want to hear it or not, audience, she's going to nail it right on the head.
Yeah.
And you're going to resist and you're going to push back and you're going to say, fuck you, you're wrong. You might be a little, but I will tell you this, that push that Jen does is exactly what your soul has been craving.
Yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah. I mean, I would, yes, thank you very much. But I would say it's what the human has been craving, right?
Okay.
Right? Because the soul is always whole and complete. We hear it through layers. So I always get the
Got it.
question like, how do you know your soul is talking to you versus the human? And I say that people say versus the ego. And I'm like, your soul's always talking to you. And they're like, you can watch their eyes go like this. And like, we hear our soul through layers. So by
Dear
connecting to
Lord.
your soul, right? Soul language, you're hearing it through less layers. And
Got it.
when you work with a practitioner, because I train other people in this, right? They don't have your pain and suffering. So when they're helping you connect to your soul languages, they're hearing the big energy. So they don't have any of your gloop, right?
Yeah.
And so then you get a whole nother layer of understanding the power of that and why you chose that energy to use this time around and how it really is divinely guided for you. You got, it's like a giant bus ticket. You have everything you need inside of you to get from where you want to go, right? It's, we forget we have the bus ticket. We don't often use the bus ticket. You
Mm.
know, we are trying to shut, I take the bus sometimes in Scranton, right? And I'm like, I do it all the time. I put the change in the wrong thing. And the bus driver always looks at me. I was like, I know, I get this wrong every time, right? But it's like, so often we're trying to make something happen.
Mm.
We're forcing our use of our energy rather than what David Hawkins would say would be your power.
Yeah.
And by connecting to your soul languages, by talking and having that conversation, you come from a place of deep knowing and power. And that creates, listen, a lot of people don't declare their energy or use their energy appropriately, right? And so imagine all this energy, like, I'm waiting. And so then the universe just kind of bends towards your will because it's just waiting for you to declare which direction the energy wants to go. And we declare it a lot in not a sustainable way, right?
Mm.
There's a difference between bad noise pollution and good noise pollution, right? So bad noise pollution looks like, oh my God, I'm not enough. And what happened? And oh my God, I had that credit card not go through. Is she going to call me back? Did I make a mistake? Versus good noise pollution with is, I'm loved and supported and provided for, and all is well, right?
Mm.
You can feel the difference in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And that most people discount that as something that they require or need, right? They'll rather have marketing. Let's get the words right.
Yep. The copyright.
Right? Versus, oh my God, I feel so good. And then from there, you know, the copy even flows even
It does.
more, right? Because it has a different energy around
Yeah.
it. Right? Now I teach people to really utilize their divine voice in such a way that they could go, bread. And people will go, I don't know what that is, but I know I want that. Like, right? That's the energy you want to put into everything you
Yeah.
do. And when you can't, like when you're having a bad day, knowing that you, and I call my higher power God, knowing you have a God generator that's just going
Yeah.
rather than, oh my God, this is all up to me. No,
Yeah.
our parts are so tiny, so tiny,
Yeah.
right?
So the question I have for you as we dive into this, we talk about your soul language, you talk about where you're at in business. Is there a gap that we're not aware of in terms of how we're using this energy? Is there an energy gap um that we can just start this that I'm asking you about? Yes, I don't
Yeah.
know why.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there are energy leaks, energy gaps, right?
Okay.
And I think, they show up in four different ways, right? Money, how you feel about your gifts and talents, how you use your energy, and whether you're making war with things, right?
Mm.
Warrior energy within soul language, there are soul languages that are distinctly warrior energy.
Okay.
And when we have warrior energy, it's not like any other energy.
Mm.
It has to be treated a little special, right? Because it's so black and white that it needs to move into gray.
Mm.
And growing up, most warrior energy has had to fight for what they wanted or to
Mm.
fight to be seen and heard. And so that leaves totally different patterns. And they're kind of like a dog with a bone sometimes, right? I can say this because I'm a warrior, right? Like death grip and control. But when you understand how you're what's
Mm.
happening and where's the energy leaks or the gaps in your business, you can close them. And
Yeah.
what really causes an energy leak or gap is where you feel not enough. Now listen,
Oh.
we all feel not enough. Stop trying to undo the not enough.
Yeah, yeah, I feel it. I'm gonna totally be honest with my listeners. Yeah, I've more than I even now success still has the feeling of not being enough. Yes.
But then you get to use that as a way to create more,
Mm.
right? So there's this kind of spiritual, I'm going to say principle. It's not really principle, but like we're going to eradicate that belief and we're going to change it and let
Yeah,
no,
we're gonna
the
fix it.
right,
The fixing of
fix it.
the not
The
enough.
not enough is a tool
Mm.
for you to understand where you feel separate, where you feel un- not whole and complete, and move towards completeness,
Got it.
right? And it's always going to be an evolutionary tool for you. So when you know your gap and you know the symptoms of that or the results of that, you could be like, oh, woo-hoo. Now I'm going to say a lot. I don't go, woo, okay. Right. I go, oh my God. Right. But the practice is to go, woohoo, I'm in, I want more. Let's close the gap. I want more. Let's close the gap. And so
Can we close the gap?
you can, yeah, for a time it
Okay.
can be closed until you want more. And then
Then it
you're going to
opens.
separate again. Yeah. It's a
Wait, that's not what I wanted to hear.
I'm sorry. I'm
You
not
were
going to
supposed
lie.
to tell me that I could close gaps, I could like thread the needle, bring it together, it'd be fixed, I move on,
No,
it wouldn't come back.
no,
Yeah, it
no. And I
does.
think that's the shocking thing about evolution, self development, spirituality is that your greatest challenge is always going to be your greatest challenge. You need to make it your skill builder, it needs to build
Yeah.
skills. And so when you're in the not enough, if we can remember, we're asking for more. Let's tune into our soul and
Mm,
see how our soul can help us close that gap, close that energy link. And I think it's really hard sometimes for people to understand their energy gap, even though they're experiencing the pain.
yeah.
Right.
And I think even as I do more in this work, as I do continue to my self-awareness journey, that was the one of the biggest things I will have to say that Jennifer, that really was a transformation for me was I thought I had to go through self-development to fix something. I thought something was broken,
Yeah.
right?
You're not broken.
And it took me and I went through this self-development for like years, and it probably took me to like my third or fourth year in all honesty to realize that there was nothing wrong with me. There was nothing to fix. Like you said, it is the awareness. It is complete self-awareness at at a level that is unique to each and one of us.
Yeah. And when you realize that there's nothing to fix, doesn't your body relax a little? Like,
Yeah.
aren't you like,
Hmm.
okay,
I have
all
more
right.
grace with myself.
Yeah.
I'm not beating myself up or stressing myself out for, oh, God, I'm doing that thing again. Or, like I just like, all right, so how long do I want to be with that? And what do I want to shift now? Because that's where the only time the shift happens is present and in the moment.
Yeah.
So what am I wanting to shift now? And, am I willing to do that, or am I going to resist my my true voice, my true self?
Well, what I love about the word grace
Yeah.
is one of the definitions of grace is in the favor of God,
Mm.
right? I just be like, oh yeah, I'm totally in the favor of God. Like, let's just
Mhm.
receive it. And um often you can use the word trust in replace of grace or hope.
Yeah.
And trust is an active participation. And trust doesn't mean like everything's going to work out. Woo-hoo, I'm going to get exactly what I want. Oh, trust means that you're going to be safe, supported,
Mm.
and loved no matter what the circumstances, the details are. And I think a lot of us have had some really bad self development, spiritual foundations that have us chasing a carrot. And
Agree.
right. And
Yeah.
that's painful because you always feel like you're failing.
Yep. That was part of my journey. That was actually, I felt like I'm like, why am I in this if I feel like I'm never fixing, air quotes,
Right.
what I feel is broken? But that's the carrot. That's what they keep dangling in front of you to get you, to be honest, to do more work, to spend more in your self development.
Right.
It's the perpetual state of not being enough,
Right.
right? And
My
where,
philosophy is to tune in
yeah.
and to use the knowing that you're enough to create what you want.
Well, Jennifer, you even said it when we were talking about what the soul language is, right? It's the language for you, for who you are. What is your mission? How you'll know this, and your soulful personality,
Yes.
right? This, what you do is you give us back the language to recognize this is who we are,
Yeah.
to hear clearly through. And when you said layers, like we're listening through layers, on my brain, all of a sudden I saw like 50,000, like it was just like, they're not thick layers in my head,
Right.
but they were like invisible little layers that prevention. And to pull through that really takes an expert like you and a practitioner that can guide that, because the thing is, and I will be straight up honest with everybody in my audience, you know this, I love all the therapy and everything out there, and there's some amazing coaches, but if they take you down a hole they can't get you out of, that is not a safe space. And
No.
yeah, Jennifer's sitting there going, "Oh God, no!"
No.
But I've
Right.
seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it with coaches out there in different areas. And what I love about what you're doing as a practitioner, it is a practice. You are coaching, you are evolving, you are using the language, you're listening, and you're being guided. And I think as anybody that works with you, that is the safe space that, and especially for us women, I will say this, in your search for self, in your search for your soul, to hear that connection, it's going to take another woman, in all honesty, to hear your soul, because we are closest to that in so many aspects. And so if you're stuck with your business, if you're stuck around money, if you're stuck in a relationship, if you're stuck around something, Jennifer is the one that you're going to
Thank
say,
you.
okay, I need to connect with her because there's something that I'm not hearing or experiencing, that while there's a lot of noise out there in the world of marketing, business, money, and everything else, I have truly discovered that women like Jennifer are they're literally the, I'm shocked still to this day that we've connected, but it was by divine universe grace that we were brought together and
And
that
I gave you
she's
the
here.
business when you connected.
Yeah.
I did. I was like, listen, if you're going to pitch me something like, because every LinkedIn message I get, like, and honestly, it's a lot of bros, but
It
right,
is.
like, hey, and I can see the when people do it, like the coach or the formula they got, because
Uh-huh.
it's like, right, I'm like,
It's the same freaking format. I can
dude,
help you. Dude, I didn't
yeah,
know I had a problem.
yeah. Or, hey, have you ever thought of writing a book? I'm like, hey, did you read my LinkedIn profile? Did you
Yeah.
look me up? Like, hey, I've got two
So many
best-selling books,
assumptions.
right? Like
Yeah.
just do a little bit of research. And I think that's also my former career of marketing and PR. Like,
Mm.
uh, you know,
You
I
can spot the bullshit.
I can spot the bullshit on an intuitive level and on a PR level.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was raised in marketing PR by some tough people, right? We did our work. I'll never forget a phone call I had with an AP reporter. I called her and I was like, hello, Margaret. And that's not her name. I can't even remember her name. But I'm like, hello, Margaret. Do you have a minute? And she's like, who told you you could call me by my first name? I was like, oh, okay. I'm sorry. She's like, I don't, call me back on Tuesday. So I call her back on Tuesday. I go, hello, Miss Smith. And she's like, why are you calling me by my last name? And I was like, okay. Right. Like, so wait, right. But it taught me a lot, right? It taught me not to take things personally. It taught me that, you know, if people aren't in alignment or in their fear, it doesn't matter what you say or what you do, that they are going to, if they're not conscious, they are going to attack, right?
Yeah. Snap.
Snap,
Snap back.
attack,
Yep.
break, blame. And if any of that is happening internally, because we do that internally, because a lot of us have really good masks, but if we do that internally, then that is creating chaos in your business. And that will go back to one of your energy leaks. And there's huge opportunity for growth there for you.
I
I'm not
agree.
just talking about internally, I'm talking about like the dollars, because that's preventing you from receiving what you want.
Yeah. So, you're on a podcast called Did She Really Say That? In this whole conversation, I have a feeling, ladies, like I started this whole thing and said, there's going to be moments when you're going to say, did Jennifer really say that? Has there been a moment when you've talked with a client or a coach, somebody, and you've said something and they've literally been like jaw on the ground, eyes bogged out, like, did she really say that? Or did she just act like, was there a moment that you can kind of share without giving away personal information?
Yeah, I mean there's a couple. I mean there's really great ones and there's ones that didn't go so well even though
Mm,
it was truth. I was talking to a client, I was like, "Listen, I really think that you have trauma around being abused and I think it's time that we talked about it." And she's like, "I don't want to talk to you anymore." And she hung up on me. And then she fired, right? And I learned a big lesson there because that was earlier,
mm,
in my 17 years. And I learned like I tune in with my team and I go, is it in the greatest good of all that I say this? Not because I care if they fire me or not, but because if I did, I would have gotten a no. She
yeah,
would have fired me eventually because I was lovingly pushing her, but it wouldn't have been so jarring for me.
yeah.
Um,
I could see that.
yeah, the I think recently was I said to someone, "Well, I think you think that's your purpose, but here's what your real purpose is." And she just started to cry. She's like,
Mm.
"Yeah." And I've been afraid to admit it. And I was like, "Well, how do you feel now?" She's like, "Oh my God, relieved." Right. It, and then there are times where I do it and I don't even know about it. Like I was standing washing dishes, talking to my mother on the phone like 10 years ago. And I was like, "So, mom, what's going on? Are you getting an MRI or anything?" And it was like out of my, like, it was like drawn. I was like, "Did I say that?" She's like, "How do you know that? Did my sisters tell you?" And I was like, "No." Wait, you're getting an MRI? Like, right? Like, there are just times where I just say something and
Yeah,
I'm not even aware that I'm saying it. Um,
yeah.
you
I can
know,
I can get that. I'll have times when I'm sitting there talking to a client and then there's just a question that I have to ask and I have no idea why I'm asking the questions. It seems like out of the blue, but there's times when that happens and it's just it's being open to that and then asking that question, like trusting yourself that you're being guided to ask that question. So I love that. So as we wrap up, I can't believe we're already like having
oh
too
my
much fun.
gosh,
So let's touch on a couple things. So what's next for Jennifer and soul language? What do
that's
you
a big
see in
question.
2026? What's your future? Are we more practitioners? Are we like, what does this
So
look
I would
like?
love more practitioners, but it's a calling. So I usually wait for people to like go, "Hey, I'd like to be a practitioner," because it
Mm,
really is a calling. We're releasing a soul mandala book. I will show you the cover because I love it.
I'm
Right?
so excited. I
Oh my
love
God, I
this.
love it.
Yes.
I have a product called Business Candyland that I started last year that I would really love to focus on.
Okay.
Um, because I think people get like shocked, like, what do I do in my business today? Right. And so it's like, just spin the wheel. Right.
So true. That's actually, I
Right.
think I'm gonna borrow that. Just spin the wheel. Pick the one that makes
Spin the wheel.
sense.
Um, I wrote down a couple things last week, like this is the year of the products, right? Someone asked me, I do a series called The Way of the Warrior. We have the original program,
Mm,
The Way of the Warrior Inner Child. We have The Way of the Warrior Sacred Feminine. And one practitioner who also has practitionership in Way of the Warriors, like, are you doing any more Way of the Warriors? And I was like, wrote down Way of the Warrior Business. So I was like, huh.
hmm.
And every January I say, I'm going to write a fiction mystery book. And then I do 3 pages and I get bored. So, but also I'm really into making little miniature stuff of things,
Yeah.
which is fun. So I think also focusing on more fun, focusing on more enjoyment, and continuing to build a community, because everyone who comes into my community are rock stars and they're
Mm,
amazing. And they form little amazing, like, um, inner communities together. Like they have this whole chat stream, a bunch of them. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? And why am I not on that chat stream? They're like, why you're not. I was like, yeah, because I would get annoyed about how many texts you guys send. They're like, totally. I'm like, put me on, I'll just mute it. And the other day I picked up my phone, I was like, 4 texts, right?
right. Yeah.
But they're all supporting each other in huge ways. And I think that's really key. I think it's really a time of finding no more lone wolves, finding
Hmm.
that community that supports you.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think the lone wolf, um, even the lone female wolf is coming to pass, right? Like that is no longer that, and I keep playing with this phase that keeps coming through my head around alpha female. Alpha female is not a solo, alpha female is community. She is strength, she is trust, she is commitment. She is the expression of I am fierce, I am here, I will protect you, piss me off,
Yeah.
and you'll see the side of me that takes you down,
Yeah.
right? But
Both of my dogs just went, "Woo,"
yeah,
and they're both female.
yeah,
They're agreeing with you.
because it is our space and place
Yeah.
to build the community, and I think we've been so disconnected from each other that that is the biggest calling I hear across this whole entire podcast is the connection piece and the
Yeah.
desire for it.
Yeah. We've been disconnected, and been a plan for the disconnection, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you have people warring against each other, they can't unite and
Hmm.
really, create the change that's needed. So,
Yeah. So let's talk about your giveaway for this audience as we wrap this up. The soulful language, the soul language quiz. So
so
talk to me about what that is for them and how that gets them starting and connecting with you and learning with
I
you.
love that. So it's a, consciousness IQ quiz for your business. You take the quiz, it's, I think, 4 minutes, and you're going to find out what your energy leak is, what your energy gap is. And then you're going to get a tool right away. And then you'll get 4 or 5 different tools for that gap so you can close it. I love the quiz. A, because I love a quiz, and B, because it really gives you tools right then, right there, that
It
you can
does.
utilize. Um, I I'm really into content. Like, I'm a right. You'll never hear me say, "Well, you have to hire me to find out the answer." I can't even say it without like wanting to scream. Right. I believe if you don't have something that you can use in your everyday life, if it's not tangible, what's the point? So the
Right.
quiz gives you a lot of tangibility.
It does. And when I took it, I didn't want to admit it, but there was definitely a money leak in my aura,
I
right?
know.
And and Jennifer knew this. Like when we were in chat, she was like, "I think you have a money leak,"
Mm.
and she didn't say it outright. But I took the
But
quiz
that's
and I was
good,
like,
because that means you're just asking for more in that
"Yeah,
area, right?
yep,
So all that means.
yeah." And it was just and the beautiful thing is like you gave me a phrase and for the universe always arises and brings up, and so there was one statement that you made to me is how does money know or how does something about how does money know that you're happy or it's like how does something around that it was like happy and money and how does your money know that you're happy, it was something that came up in that conversation, And that's arisen because I knew we were doing this podcast interview. I was like, okay. And there's just this constant question. Like it'll pop up when I'm in the shower. It'll pop up when I'm going to sleep. It'll pop up when I'm driving around town. Like I'll be having some thoughts and all of a sudden that will pop up in there. So I'm like, all right, there, that is that soul language, that conversation, that where I'm listening and what's being
Yeah.
asked and where am I showing up inside of that, and that trust and building that trust again with myself and my relationship, where I'm having where I've had issues with money energy and where it's setting up to come in and preparing myself for that huge transfer of energy coming in. So
Yeah.
thank you
Beautiful.
for that gift.
You're welcome.
Honestly, it was absolutely beautiful. And thank you for just who you are
Thank you.
inside of the soul language and what you're bringing into the world and what you've birthed, and the support that you truly just show up as. So thank you for
Thank
that.
you. Oh, thank you. What a
Yeah.
great way to start my day.
Well, go rock your day. I want to thank you for listening in, and listeners, all of her links are going to be down in the show notes. Connect with her, take the quiz for sure. Um, the videos, the nuggets, the ability to dive deeper into those little gaps that you're experiencing, and that I would absolutely recommend, without a doubt. There's something magical here, and I you need should no need no want desire. You actually desire. I'm going through words here. You desire to have this in your life,
Beautiful.
and trust that instinct and take action and click that link in the show notes and connect with Jennifer. You honestly will probably be one of the best decisions you make now that you've met her. It works. All right, Jennifer, any last words of wisdom before we pop off?
Yeah, just ask yourself if you're making a decision based on wholeness and completeness or something else. And if you do
Mm.
that one tool, it will change your life.
And there she is, everybody. Did she really say that? So thank you for joining us again on this another amazing episode. And as I always say, stick around and stay tuned and share this out with other women. When we start coming together and we start sharing the expertise around women, we build a collaboration and a collective that really supports us women in our business and gives us permission to truly be who we are meant to be and our calling and what we're bringing forth in the world. So with that, thank you for joining in and we'll see you on the next episode.